Muchachos y muchachas. So I did a video called The Mystery of the Standard Hotel, and which has been a mystery for a lot of people. We've seen a lot of details circulate online and social media, but nobody has really broken down the scandals and the things that were originating from, let's say, the hotel owner and all the people that he knows. But aside from that, I mentioned in the video that he not only owned the Standard Hotel and all of those hotel chains, but he also owns boutique hotels all around the world. The Chiltern, for instance, in London, the Mercer in Soho, but also Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles, California, where not only our current day stars they flee to for safe haven and secrecy, but also Old Hollywood. And I didn't know that it stemmed back that far, but Old Hollywood also had their own scandals at this hotel. Now, what I will say is, despite the secrecy and the catered just exclusivity to these stars, it's very interesting to see some of this surface as it does, including luncheons that were devoted to Marina Abramovic. Oh, yep, stay right there. We're gonna get straight to it. So a little bit of history on the Chateau Marmont. It is located on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. It was designed by architects Arnold Weitzman and William Douglas Lee and completed in 1929. It was modeled loosely after the Chateau d'Amboise, a royal retreat in France's Loire Valley, and it has historically been known to be a short-term and long-term residence for celebrities. Lindsay Lohan is a great example because she lived at the Chateau Marmont until she was kicked out. She was evicted for not paying a $46,000 bill. So she's an example. Now, this hotel / residence has 63 rooms, suites, cottages, and bungalows. Now, let's jump to the juicy part. Like I said, I didn't know that this was a housing for scandal ever since Old Hollywood. In the days of Marilyn Monroe and John Belushi, it stemmed that long. So there's a book, and I actually just started picking up this book called Castle on Sunset. And in this book, it really unleashes a lot of insider observations and things that are known about the hotel. And I'm still it's a very long book, so I'm still in the midst of making my way through it, but I'm hopeful to maybe make a part 2 to this and maybe dish out some secrets that I learned through the book. But anyway, some of what's in this book, it dishes out some juicy tea on several stars that stayed at this hotel in different respects. Billy Wilder being one of them. He slept in a lobby bathroom. Now, he was one of the most famous filmmakers in Hollywood's golden age. Again, Old Hollywood. He did movies like The 7-Year Itch, Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot, and The Apartment. Howard Hughes was known to stay there or live there. And of course, we all know that Howard Hughes went through a lot of mental illness stuff. Howard Hughes was just known to be very different in that respect. So that's what it reported. 𝘸𝘪𝘓 stayed at the Chateau Marmont whenever he fought with Lucille Ball. 𝘸𝘪𝘓 was known to cheat on Lucille Ball. They would get in a lot of fights, so that was his safe haven every single time that happened. The glitz and glamour of Old Hollywood. Well, you yourself can be glamorous if you use beauty serums and skincare. I actually use Ageless Glow. This is my favorite thing before makeup, okay? And you can use this just as a beauty serum. You don't have to use makeup, but it reaffirms your skin, it rejuvenates it, and guys, it firms it up. And again, this is my favorite anti-aging serum. You can get it at 𝑔lowwithnatalie.com. It's natural ingredients based, and I love this company because they actually donate meals to starving children around the world. So socially responsible, a kick-ass product. You can get it at 𝑔lowwithnatalie.com. Now, there was a famous movie called Rebel Without a Cause, and it was mostly developed at the Chateau Marmont. It was in 1952 when writer-director Nicholas Ray, he moved into a Chateau Marmont bungalow after finding his second wife, actress Gloria Graham, doing inappropriate things with his 13-year-old son, Tony, from his first marriage. He is known to have rebounded very quickly after that relationship with stars like Joan Crawford, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, and Zsa Zsa Gabor. Not long after he got his studio pitch for Rebel Without a Cause approved and began, doing things like meeting with actors, rehearsing, screenwriters, he met James Dean. Then he met the writer Stuart Stern, who entered a mix and began working on a screenplay. Ray was big on entertaining industry folks in his bungalow and hosted Sunday gatherings where James Dean, Dennis Hopper, and other actors would often frequent. As the movie script progressed, Ray started to use his bungalow as a rehearsal space. Very interesting history there. And then there was this scandal where Nicholas Ray, the same director we were talking about, had an affair with 16-year-old Natalie Wood. So it was among one of the Sunday gatherings I just mentioned in his bungalow where he was on set with Natalie Wood, who again was 16 years old, who was desperate to shed her, her dignity to get in with Hollywood and to get in with Ray's movie. She would make it a point to show up every single time there was a gathering. He took her out to dinner a few times. Then they eventually became together. Now, he was 27 years her senior. During one of Ray's bungalow parties, Natalie Wood took a liking to Dennis Hopper. After a night of partying together, the two got into a car accident on the way back to Marmont. At the hospital, Natalie Wood told doctors to call Ray. When the director arrived, she said, "They called me a juvenile delinquent. Now do I get the part?" Led Zeppelin's wild rocker parties occurred at the Chateau Marmont, as it was observed and reported. Allegedly, they were kicked out of the main building. Now, during their visit in 1968, the band's loud partying, constant flow of girls, they actually stole a food cart to transport nude girls from one room to another. And they repeated calls to room service for more alcohol and got them moved to a bungalow. And then there was Jim Morrison, who stayed at the Marmont in the 1970s, a year before his death. In addition to, drinking and substance use, he had a habit of swinging between windows and balconies using tree limbs and drain pipes. He tried to do it and fell down 2 stories from the balcony. And you guys may know the story of Sharon Tate and her brutal murder way back when. So actually, right before Sharon Tate and her then husband, Roman Polanski, before they bought a house to raise what was up and coming, which was a child that she was pregnant with, they actually lived at the Chateau Marmont right before that. So they moved out of the Chateau Marmont 6 months before the Manson occurrence. They were pregnant in 1969, but they were newlyweds, and they decided to move into a proper house. Now, she thought it would be inappropriate to raise a newborn in a hotel. And then in February, they found a home on Cielo Drive, which had just been vacated by Candice Bergen and Terry Melcher. And then in tragedy and in fatality, there were 2 infamies that bore from the Marmont Hotel. John Belushi, who he passed in 1982. He was already in bad shape. He was already using substances. He used it quite a bit. And his best friend, Dan Aykroyd, attempted to get him help where it was a futile, time frame. Robert De Niro and Robin Williams were among the last people to see Belushi alive. He was found unconscious in his room on March 5th, 1982 by his personal trainer and bodyguard, Bill Wallace. There were marks indicated on his arm, which then pointed to an OD. It wasn't long before the media got wind and paparazzi swarmed the hotel. For years after that, this Chateau Marmont would become known as the place where John Belushi passed away. Now, this part I find strange and interesting at the same time. I'm not saying it can't happen, but this secondary passing was of a famous fashion photographer called Helmut Newton. Now, the hotel in 2004 was the site of another tragic loss when Helmut Newton, the legendary fashion photographer, seemingly lost control of his car coming out the garage of the Chateau Marmont, and he fatally crashed into a wall. It was later revealed that he had a heart attack and caused the accident. And of course, as you will have it, there have been allegations that will surface up to the headlines. And I've talked about the fashion industry before, but just hold on to your butts, press subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to hear more, because I am going to go there. I am going to go down the observations that I have about the fashion industry and how exploitive it is. But there have been allegations of the Chateau Marmont keeping this under wraps, where is a fashion photographer by the name of Mario Testino, Bruce Weber, that have been there have been allegations against them about being exploitive to male models. And basically, these guys are really tied into the industry, fashion industry, but also, for instance, Mario Testino is very closely linked to a English royal family, to Vogue, to the, a big fashion designers. That's going to be its own video in itself, because I want to really make it a point to talk about this. So, but allegedly at a high point, they have been alleged to have, exploited these male models against their will. And, basically Chateau Marmont was a scene for this. Okay, so let's move it down the line to kind of current day. What are some scandals that have been known about the Chateau Marmont? Well, allegedly, of course, we're not going to know all the full details because the staff allegedly have to sign NDAs. They're not allowed to talk about this out in the open, otherwise there would be a lot of repercussion. But allegedly, there was an Oscar party that occurred in which Scarlett Johansson in 2004 and Benicio del Toro allegedly did things in an elevator. And of course, they have not confirmed this, but it's being alleged by many people. Now, again, we don't know this to be true because of the exclusivity of this hotel, but allegedly things like that happen. Britney Spears was reportedly banned from the Chateau Marmont in 2007 for having poor table manners. I don't know what the heck that means or what happened there, but that's a story that I've never heard about. If you guys know, let me know down in the comments below. Now, I mentioned this in the Standard Hotel video that I did recently, but Lindsay Lohan was actually kicked out of the Chateau Marmont as her residence, as she didn't pay $46,000 worth of hotel service or residence service. Okay, so let's pivot into the exclusive parties and luncheons. I'm sure there are many more that are out there that have taken place at the Chateau Marmont, but this one in particular I found interesting. So Jay-Z and Beyonce, this is the headline, okay? This is from page 6 from 2018. It said Jay-Z and Beyonce wanted to mind F VIPs at a secret Oscars party. Now, what in the world would this party consist of for them to pull something like that off in that theme? I'm just going to read, it's very short. Jay-Z and Beyonce's first and sources say annual Oscar party was so top secret, even some of the couple's closest friends were kept in the dark. Close friends with Jay-Z didn't even know if they were invited, said an insider of the party kept under wraps in the Chateau Marmont's garage. That's right, they had a party in the garage, where only about 200 people were admitted. They wanted to mind F everyone and keep everything mysterious and exclusive. Another source told us it took some masterful maneuvers to pull this off, and they did. They enjoyed it so much they wanted to make it annual, keeping it as much of it on the down low as possible. The garage was turned into a casino-themed space to keep the public guessing. They went stealth. VVVIPs, which I'm gonna say very, very, very important people, they all went up a hill past the hotel and went into the kitchen to make their way down to the back entrance of the garage. No photogs or carpet. In preparation for the party, we hear that staffers were told not to refer to Jay-Z and Beyonce by name, but only as the host and hostess. Okay, that's just kind of play here is this. A different source said that it was all of Black Hollywood. We hear that there were no performances, a lot of stars mingling and letting their hair down because they knew they were not under the microscope of prying eyes. While photographers were faked out by secret entrants, one of the few stars snapped at the hotel for the hush hush party was Get Out breakout star Daniel Kaluuya. Inside, we hear that also Rihanna, Stevie Wonder, Danai Gurira, Jamie Foxx, and Drake were attendees. Okay. But aside from that, a very interesting luncheon was also held at the Chateau Marmont, and it was all to honor our favorite person, Marina Abramovic. Yes. And this was actually hosted by a royal, I believe it's an Austrian royal. Yes, it was an Austrian royal, Francesca von Habsburg. And the Habsburg family has been accused in being in some shady situations. Now, I don't know that for sure. That's just a rumor. But allegedly, she hosted this luncheon to honor Marina Abramovic, who was nominated for a Spirit Award for her film, The Artist is Present. And here's the most interesting part, okay? There are some photos from this luncheon, and I'm actually going to show you guys these photos here, and I'm just going to show you. I'm not manipulating no images. This is from aleem.com, and they show like these, I don't know, like socialites partying, stars partying. I'm just going to do a search here for Marina. Oh, and will you look at that? Look at this attendee right here. Look at this. Would you look at that? Okay. That's right. Our favorite little friend, 𝘏𝘶, attended this party. You see her picture right there. Have you guys ever seen this picture? Let me know in the comments below. Have you guys ever seen this picture of 𝘏𝘶? Well, that's how exclusive Chateau Marmont is. 𝘏𝘶 Maxwell at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles for a luncheon honoring the performance artist Marina Abramovic. And you guys can see her here. Marina mingling with other people. Jeffrey Deitch, Francesca Habsburg, who is the host of this luncheon. Matthew Ackers, I don't know who half these people are. To honor her, here you go. Christoph Waltz, Ingrid Sishi. And you can see here in this photo, Francesca von Habsburg hosting a lunch at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles for performance artist Marina Abramovic, who is nominated for the Spirit Award for her film, The Artist is Present. Now, is that not interesting? All interconnected, but you're going to find this even more interesting. Now, not only was that luncheon a connection to the Chateau Marmont with some of these people, take a look at these photos. We featured this in the standard video of Marina being close besties with Andre Balazs, the hotelier who owns this entire franchise and chain of hotels. But did you know that he also mingled with 𝘏𝘶 as well? So a very interesting world, a very interesting circle there. So with this being said, I just wanted to do a little rundown on the Chateau Marmont. Of course, we're not going to know everything because they hold everything so exclusive and secretive, so much so that the staffers have to sign a form of NDA and communication policy. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you know that this Chateau Marmont, this castle on Sunset, was so scandal-ridden? And did you know that it stretched back into the golden age of Hollywood, where old Hollywood would also find a safe haven there? Seems to be it's a generational thing. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will be back with another video.